Well, hi there, everybody. Just wanted to give you an overview of what we saw yesterday across the eastern portions of the viewing area. First off, I want to talk about the conditions that set up this environment. And first off, we had a cold front in the western parts, or to the west, really, just to the west and southwest of the Tri-Cities, and a warm front that extended from around the Blue Hill area northeastward towards Lincoln. You saw temperatures on the east and south side of those fronts in the 80s to near 90 degrees, very high dew points in the 60s. Behind it, cool, stable air for northern and western Nebraska, and it was the clash of these frontal boundaries, of these air masses, that helped provide this situation. Of course, we had the available moisture. The shear in the atmosphere was also very favorable as well. So I'm going to take a look first at the big picture here, and we'll kind of play around with a couple of things. First off, here's the way things looked from the mid-afternoon hours into the early evening, and it was that first supercell from just south and southeast of Hastings traveling towards the Lincoln and Omaha area that produced most of the tornado reports from yesterday. So first off, we're going to kind of go into a closer look here, take it kind of to the central parts of the viewing area, and again, you get a better shot of that here. I'm actually going to pause it and take us back to the beginning just a little bit. So we're going to start off by zooming in. And welcome to live television here. We have phone calls here at the TV station. So first I'm going to zoom in here to the Blue Hill area, and that's where our storm first initiated here during the afternoon hours. It started to push eastward, northeastward here, and it was about this point right here where on Facebook I started saying, hey, we need to be watching out if you live northeast of Blue Hill. Start into Clay County there, because that's where we started to see some of those, that environment look fairly favorable for possible rotation here. And again, we were putting on the storm reports. We're getting lots of reports of hail around the Hastings and Air area. And we'll advance this a little bit farther forward here. Again, getting into Clay County here, and I'm actually going to zoom in just a little bit more. This is the Clay Center area, and again, we had reports of activity here. This is Clay Center. We had the report of a tornado possibly down near the Clay Center area. So it was certainly possible that we saw that. Again, let's advance it out a little bit farther. And this is where things started to get a little bit scarier here. We had of course, the town of Sarenville and Sutton. Those were the two areas that were hardest hit early on with this supercell thunderstorm. Sarenville, we had the report of a tornado, and then Sutton, of course, we've seen the damage pictures from that. The governor is going to be there here today. We'll advance this a little bit farther eastward. This is where I actually started to get in on the storm here, was near the town of Grafton, because I was a little bit late to the show here. Grafton, we had continued reports of tornadoes north of Grafton. I actually saw a tornado on the south side of this, just about 2 miles south of Grafton. I saw a very brief tornado, a lot of dirt and dust getting kicked in. This thing continued to, and this was rotating as well, and this continued to move to the east here towards that Highway 81 corridor around Fairmont, and we had reports of tornadoes around the Fairmont area. We'll look at just the reports real quick here. And the first one here says, again, debris from grain bin along Highway 81 there just north of Fairmont. And then the other report there just says a tornado. So again, from what I saw a brief tornado touchdown somewhere just to the north or northeast of Fairmont. So that would match up fairly well with what's being shown here. Didn't get a lot of reports other than maybe some funnels and maybe a brief touchdown just north of Exeter. And then as this moved over into Seward County, it got a little more intense again. We were really starting to pay close attention to this as it got towards Cordova and Beaver Crossing. We've seen, and there you can see it really hook out here. We've seen a number of reports of a lot of damage around Cordova and Beaver Crossing. Then it was more funnel reports from their funnels. No, maybe brief touchdowns, but no real reports of tornadoes beyond there from Goner to north of Milford. We had some wind reports, 90-mile-an-hour winds reported around Milford right there on the backside of this. And then as you got towards Garland here, you actually saw kind of a recycling of this supercell here. And then on the backside again, that's where we started to get reports of tornado damage possibly to the south of Garland, which you don't see here, and then also towards Raymond and Davie. And then this started to kick up towards the Omaha area, where it became more of a wind event. But there was a lot of damage reported around the Omaha area, as well as around the Elkhorn area west of Omaha. Lots of wind and crazy directions with the wind as well. So yeah, just some incredible stuff going on with this. So that's kind of what we saw. You've seen the pictures, you've seen the video as well with some of these. We'll play it. We'll put this into motion one more time here. But again, it was a crazy Mother's Day out there. Some won't forget this one for a long time if you lived, especially in Sutton and Cordova and Beaver Crossing or any of those other rural areas that saw some damage as well. Thankfully, no reports of fatalities, only minor injuries, at least at this point. Unfortunately, though, there was some of the destruction that we saw in some locations. So hopefully that gives you kind of an overview, an idea of what we saw. As I mentioned, some great videos, some great pictures on Facebook and Twitter, different social media sites. We've got a few of them on our sites as well. So yeah, that gives you an overview, and it looks like now quiet weather as we go through this week here. Next week, though, maybe not so much. We'll have to pay attention to the threat of severe weather, it looks like, towards next week, kind of eyeing the Tuesday time period at this point. So there is that overview. I will see you another time. Have a good day.